Hey, you just clicked on one of our Final Fantasy Scene Box reviews. It's going to be great. This is one of our clipped down of the 4 that are coming out. If you want to watch the entire episode, no cuts, no edits, all 4 scene kits, all of the discussion, intros, outros, all of it, that's linked here. Otherwise, enjoy the episode that you just clicked on.
Let's do it. So the cool thing about these box scenes is that they have decided to depict a few of the games that received a little bit less love in the actual booster set itself. And that is shown more apparently with this first kit that we are talking about here, the Garland at the Chaos Shrine, depicted from Final Fantasy 1.
OG,
the original,
baby. Nintendo
OG.
Entertainment System.
Woohoo! This one is very strange because I have sort of like a mixed opinion about this here. It either is going to be one of the coolest ones that you can get, or is going to be not crazy interesting to everybody, but there is still some very cool stuff to show off here. And the reason I say it that way is because the bulk of this kit that you receive is a collection of cards that really just want to play well together. And normally with these box reviews, we like to do them sort of in like art order to kind of show you like how the flow of the art cards work. But in this one in specific, I think it's worth diving into, firstly, one of the ones that's kind of right in the middle, the Destined Warrior. And this is going to tie into the other ones we have here as well. The Destined Warrior is 1 white, blue, and a black for a legendary human warrior is a 3/3. They have First Strike, Vigilance, Menace, and then clerics, rogues, warriors, and wizard spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. And at the beginning of combat on your turn, creatures you control get 1/0 until end of turn. If if you have a full party, creatures you control get 3/0 until end of turn instead.
Neat. That's a clean design.
Yeah, and so the party mechanic is sort of what the idea of what this one is looking to do here. For anybody unfamiliar with what that means, a party of creatures is something that was introduced from Zendikar Rising, is that if you have a creature, numbers of them up to 4, if they are consistent of a cleric, a rogue, a warrior, and or a wizard, that brings you up to your party amount. And then so if you control a creature of each, that is called having a full party. And so that is what this legendary creature is looking to do. And this is what ties us into the other 3 that are part, at least as far as the heroes are concerned, because that's what this scene is depicting. This is depicting the 4 classic base heroes fighting up against the final villain of the first game, Garland himself.
Whoa, no spoilers for my 40-year-old game.
Oh, I know, crazy. So the other 3 we'll talk about real quick is the Destined White Mage, 2 and a white for a 2/3 legendary human cleric with lifelink. A white mana tap ability that another target creature you control gains lifelink until end of turn. And then whenever you gain life, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. If you have a full party, put 3 counters on that creature instead.
I like this theme we've got going on here of does one thing and then does a lot of things with a full party.
The Destined Thief is 2 and a blue for a 2/2 legendary human rogue. He can't be blocked. A blue mana tap ability that another target creature you control can't be blocked. And whenever 1 or more creatures you control deal combat damage to 1 or more players, draw a card, then discard a card. If you have a full party, instead draw 3 cards. No discarding there at all.
Neat. Okay, so that is not worded the same way where, like, if you have 1 creature going at each player, you would get 3 cards.
Nope.
It's just as long as something has done combat damage to a player, you draw 1 card from him.
And then discard a card, yep, unless you have a full party, in which case that 1 creature connecting will draw you 3.
That's worded very confusingly, but it's very cool.
A little bit, yep. And then rounding out our party is the Destined Black Mage. It's 2 and a black for a 3/2 legendary human wizard. A black mana tap ability to give another target creature you control death touch until end of turn. And then whenever you cast a non-creature spell, the Destined Black Mage deals 1 damage to each opponent. And if you have a full party, it deals 3 damage to each opponent instead.
So excellent. That's the best one so far.
Yeah. So this is the reason of why I opened up the statement on this scene kit as sort of this is a cool one or a meh kind of one. Because if you are seriously interested and you are dedicated to try to build, especially a party deck, the Destined Warrior is one of the first instances of being able to build a party deck that includes another color. We already had a legendary creature and a full precon around doing the party mechanic with Nelia de Arnis from Battle for Baldur's Gate set, but that one was strictly Orzhov. So this legendary creature and these 3 other cards companioned along with her, this allows you to do Esper Party, which is an incredibly cool deck idea, and we haven't seen that kind of legendary creature be a support for this type of game mechanic. But this leads to the other end of that spectrum, though, is that if you do not care about party, this is a 4 collection of cards that probably
do
is
nothing
not going to make
you.
or break. Yeah, they don't do anything for you, unfortunately. So this is why I had the reasoning that I did, is if you are interested in party, this collection here to give you these 4 cards in specific, this is going to be excellent for you. But there is probably use case scenario. It's nice that the other monocolored creatures here, they have activated abilities that don't care in any way, shape, or form about your full party. They just obviously work exponentially better when you are playing with a party.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, even just if you're already playing Nalia or if you're playing Barakos and Folk Hero, which I think is the better version of that party deck, getting the White Mage and the Black Mage for that deck alone is very, very good. These are 2 creatures that care about having a full party, which we've just not seen in a long time. So that's just an awesome inclusion there outside of the Thief and the Warrior too.
Excellent. Yeah. So that's how those 4 pretty much all decide to want to play together. If you were interested in playing party, that's how they go. But the box contains 2 other remaining cards. As I had mentioned, it is showcasing the final battle against our villain of the set, Garland, Royal Kidnapper. He is 2 blue and a black for a legendary creature, Human Knight. He's a 3/4. When he enters, target opponent becomes the monarch. Whenever an opponent becomes the monarch, gain control of target creature that player controls for as long as they are the monarch, and creatures you control but don't own get +2/+2 and can't be sacrificed.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, so what he's happening here is that someone else is becoming the royalty and he gets ticked off about it and steals the princess. I believe that's what the scene is depicting here. That's Garland's whole thing. Yeah, classic fantasy is the cursed knight steals the princess away from the king, and you and your heroic party go to rescue her. And that's what Garland here is looking to try to do. So, and it's very fun that it's worded the way it does. Not only does he himself force the monarch over to anybody else, but for those unfamiliar with how the monarch actually works as far as a mechanic, as soon as anybody else deals combat damage to a person who is the monarch, that other person becomes the monarch. So let's say you're forcing combat with something like Bloodthirsty Blade, that a creature is now becoming goaded. You can goad a creature over on somebody else's board who is not currently the monarch, try to force it over to the person who is the monarch, and now you'll just be shuffling creatures around to, like, say somebody else becomes the monarch, you get to now gain control of something that player controls, and the other one goes back. You know what I mean?
Yes, you're just like puppeteering the board and gaining control of creatures as you go.
Mm-hmm. I found this cool legendary creature that could pair off into a deck like this called Maeve, Insidious Singer. The 2 and double blue legendary creature Siren with an activated ability of 2 and a blue, and it goads a target creature. Whenever that creature attacks one of your opponents this turn, you draw a card.
Sirens are such a funny thing to me because there was a whole generation of sailors who were like, you know what? That beautiful half-naked woman makes a great point. I should steer my ship into the rocks.
He's very neat. Like, there's been a lot of very fun legendary creatures that play around with the idea of, like, oh, what if my opponent is gaining extra card advantage with being the monarch? You know, there's a couple different other legendary creatures who care about the monarch being passed around to other people, but Garland's really sick. And just the fact that whatever you end up stealing off of his ability gets bigger and can't be sacrificed, it makes it harder for that opponent to get that card back.
Yeah, awesome.
And then the last little piece of card that comes in this kit doesn't necessarily have a generic, like a good home per se with, say, Garland, but I just paired it along with him anyway, just because it's the piece that he's depicting here with him. It's the Chaos Shrine's Black Crystal. It's 3 and a black for a legendary artifact that whenever a non-token creature you control dies, exile it. And at the beginning of your upkeep, you may put a creature card exiled with Chaos Shrine onto the battlefield under your control with a finality counter on it.
Oh, nice. Just a great protection piece for your board.
Yeah, it's just neat. Like, if you were already playing in that really cool thing that, say, like, Winter does, the Golgari colored Winter, you know, it just brings things back into play with finality counters, you know, all that stuff that you could do. It's kind of boring, kind of generic, to be honest, and you obviously run the risk as well of anything of yours dying. It gets exiled into this Chaos Shrine's Black Crystal, and if the crystal itself gets destroyed, then all that stuff is gone to you, unfortunately. So there's risk reward to playing a card like this, but gaining something back every upkeep as you kill them, and then obviously you can play around with the finality counters, you know, again, just like how we have seen in Winter decks of, like, you can remove that counter naturally, you can move it onto something else. There's cool things to do with it. So if you're already a kind of deck that is using like black reanimate from graveyard style effects like this, there's probably something fun and spicy to do with it, but as a whole, it's kind of just okay.
Yeah, I like that it's worded to where you still get death triggers from your creature, because it's whenever it puts a trigger on the stack whenever something dies to exile it. So you still get all of your Blood Artist triggers and things, and then it gets exiled, and then on your upkeep you get the option to get something back with it as well, which is awesome. I like it a lot, actually. This is a really cool design.
It is. And yeah, and that is the 6 cards from this kit. As a whole, like I had mentioned at the start of talking about this one here, this one, I think, probably more than the others that we will be talking about, is definitely going to be the one that is hit or miss. I, especially in this one, more than any of them, I liked the fact that every single one of these cards, even though Garland and Chaos Shrine itself don't necessarily fit the theme of what Esper Party would be doing, you could take the entirety of this box and put it all together in one commander deck. And that is cool. I do like that aspect of this itself. And again, like I was mentioning about when talking about the Destined Warrior, if you are solidly interested in trying to build a parties themed deck, because we didn't even mention about the fact that with parties, you know, rogues, clerics, warriors, and wizards, those are very generic open-ended creature types. So you could build that deck in a huge variety of different ways depending on which cards are your favorite as far as warriors and wizards and whatever. So if you are interested to build a deck like this, this kit, I think, is going to be an absolute pickup. Nice. However, if nothing amongst these is any interesting to you, this is probably going to be one to skip, I'm going to say, because there just isn't going to be enough value to be had broad stroke based on how these cards are designed.
Yeah, I love it, man.